Hi, everybody. I'm Nicole Mahalski, and I want to welcome you guys to the Your Best Life Yet Summit. In the summit, we're going to look at all areas of your life, from personal, career, and business to home and even relationships. Our expert guests are going to share with you their strategies and insights to allow you to live your best life yet, creating more joy, time, money, and freedom in your life. I'm super excited to introduce you to today's guest speaker. JP is a widely beloved as the morning coach with a daily podcast that has been downloaded over 17 million times. A sought-after motivational speaker and coach with international following, JB is also a mastermind group leader, contributing writer for the business journal, 43 paper network. He holds advanced degrees in business and metaphysics, but credits his street sense from black eyes to near bankruptcy with providing the life-changing lessons that inspired the keys to personal transformation that he shares with his audience. Coaching clients, readers worldwide. You can find him at themorningcoach.com and Glossinger.com. Welcome, JP. I'm so excited for you to be here today.
Hey, how are you doing, Nicole? Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm great. So everybody, I asked JB here to share with us some of his insights into why we really need to figure out what's most important to us and how we can start living in alignment with our mission. I know I gained a great insight from JB's work and really making sure that my goals were in line with my values so that I could really go after my mission and be successful at it. Thanks for sharing all that great insight with us. I want to jump right in, JB, and really ask you, what is your story? What really drove you to creating all the success that you have in your life?
Well, I think the first thing is not all the success. It was all like the problems that I had in my life, because I started off really chasing success by listening to the great masters, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Wayne Dyer, Zig Ziglar. And I went into aviation, and I went from nothing, from just starting off in the company to actually running the company in over a 15-year career. But I was sitting in that as on the board of directors in my early 30s, making a ton of money, very kind of in a position where I should be very happy, but I was absolutely miserable. In my family, I come from a blue collar family in Indiana. I was making more than they had made probably in their entire life in a year. And I just was unhappy. I was miserable. And so I think the issue that we have in the whole personal development, self-help area is that we have a lot of people helping people reach their goals, but not a lot of people helping people get clear about what those goals should be. And so when you use techniques such as neuro-linguistic processing, neurosociative conditioning, and you use the techniques to reach your goals, that's great. But when you get there and you look back and you're unhappy, that's a really, really scary place to be. In fact, I have a lot of clients that I help that are just like that have really made a lot of money, whether it's in banking or the market or, as a CEO of a company, but they're absolutely miserable. And there's an old saying that if you don't have money, there's always hope that when you have money, things will be better. But when you have money, there is no hope that things will be better because you can't buy it. And so getting clear is one of the most important things that we have to do, but yet most teachers aren't teaching that. They're teaching everybody, oh, you can have everything. You can have all this material success. But the truth is, it's really not about the material. It's about understanding where your life is going to go, and that's what brings you joy and peace.
That's so true. And you bring up a great point on how important it is to get clear. Because I know I've gone through a lot of different training programs, and that was my biggest frustration, is that everybody was giving me the tools on how to go do it, but I really didn't know exactly what it is that I wanted or how to kind of group that all together into something that really moved me. And it seemed like it was really hard to figure that out. So can you give us some insight on how we can really channel what it is that we want to do and really, just get honest with ourselves with what it is that we want to achieve?
Yeah, well, first thing is, we have to realize that life is dynamic. It's not static. It's always moving. When we came on to do this, I'm eating lunch and running around and we got the eclipse going. There's a million things happening, right? And that's just life. And for me, Mondays and Tuesdays are my work days, and then I don't work, usually Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I take a long week. So Mondays tend to be a little more busier than me. So when we're trying to get clear, you have to realize that you're going to have those moments of busyness, of things happening, and that's because life is dynamic. So a lot of people say, well, I'm waiting for the Archangel Gabriel to come down and sing a song and tell me what I'm supposed to do. Well, that doesn't happen for most people. For most people, we got to do a little bit of work. And that means taking a look at our values, understanding what's important to us at this moment. And then also taking a look at the things that we want to bring into our life and why do we want to bring them into our life, and really doing the work. You know, most people will spend months and months and months planning their wedding, and that's cool, right? We want to have a nice wedding, but that's one day. But people just don't spend any time on their life, and they wonder why they're frustrated. So we've got to look at our values. What's important in this moment? What's important in our life? And then look at the experiences that we want to have. And the thing is, those change over time. So for everybody, it's a little bit different. So my point is that you've got to look at what experience you want to bring into your life. And then you've got to understand it's going to be dynamic, that it can change. So this calling, whatever that is, not everybody gets that. And that's okay if you don't have a calling. Figure out what it is that you want to bring into your life in this moment and be flexible with that, because it will change.
That's so true. You know, I think that a lot of us get stuck in that change, where change can be difficult, or we don't really like change, but we have to learn to adjust to that so that we can just flow and carry on and really achieve those things that we're looking for. And I think that brings us right into the next question. Can you share with us your story about connecting to the observer and what success really means?
Yeah. I think that's a good one. So when I was sitting in the office and I'm, running a company, had achieved material success, and I was sitting there going, well, why am I unhappy? Well, because I really didn't know who I was. I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. I was doing what everybody, I thought everybody else wanted me to do, and I wasn't happy. And so, at that point is when I started searching for external sources and getting my PhD in my metaphysics, and really looking and reading everything that I could on religion and different religions and quantum mechanics and physics, trying to figure out, what's going on. And as I did my research, I realized that, we're so much more than this material thing that we are, which I consider the ego, which is kind of our material manifest here on this planet. And we have this observer, and this observer is, the spiritual side of us, that deeper side. It's who we truly are. It's who we're born. We were born as this person. And if we go look in the mirror, actually have a mirror ritual, you'll see that same person. Our physical body might have aged, but we're still that same being that's there. And that being is the power that we need to connect to get clear with. If we do it from the egoic standpoint, there's going to be a lot of material noise there. If we can separate from that and take that 35,000, like jump in a plane and fly up to 35,000 feet and look down at our life and observe our life, that's what we can do to really get some clarity, is step out of the material and get into the observer state. That's what the observer is. And for me, it was about getting a little bit into the now, reading a lot of Eckhart Tolle and seeing, the moment. For me, there was a moment where I was driving to work, and 95 was just packed, and I was miserable, and I had to take a back road, and I was reading The Power Now, and I looked up at all these wires, and there was a bird up there, and I just became totally present. I really feel that was the moment, my first moment of really connecting to that power on this back road in Miami, looking up at all these wires and just seeing the sky change to a different color, and the beauty of life kind of come out of all that ugliness. And that's what you can do once you kind of tap into that observer. You leave this material kind of manifested ego, and you get into something much deeper, which is who you truly are.
I love that you brought up the power of just being present, because I think so many of us get caught up in our past and relive that, or we project into the future. And we really miss out on those opportunities that can come right now if we just slow down a little bit and really connect to what's going on right now in our lives and who we are, and really, as you said, become that observer.
It is. It's about that connection. That's what it is. It's about connecting to the moment. It's so important.
How did you develop the Sacred Six?
Sacred Six goes back a long time ago. I was listening to some albums and actually listened to an Earl Nightingale album called Lead the Field. And it was actually an album. It was the first personal development album ever created, and a record, which most people probably don't remember what those are, but there used to be records out there, right? And they actually made it a tape. And I was listening to the tape on my sofa in Tucson, Arizona. It had to be 1990, maybe 92, 93. Right as CDs were starting to come out, right? And so I had a tape, and I was listening to it, and there was a story from Napoleon Hill on there about Ivy Lee and Charles Schwab. Not the Charles Schwab we know today, who is the financial guy, but Charles Schwab, who used to run the steel mills for Andrew Carnegie. And Ivy Lee came into the steel mills one day and said, Charles, I've got a way that can help you manage. And he's like, listen, I don't need any more knowing. I need more doing. And he said, well, listen, I got a technique. Try this. And so he told Charles Schwab, he said, write down the 6 things you need to do today. Prioritize them. Start on number 1 and don't move to number 2 until number 1 is done. And then once number 1's done, you can move to number 2, and you need to focus as you're going through this. Now, remember, this is about 1910. Right. So no computers, really no telephones. They had to send a horse, the horse to get the mail delivered. So they were worried about focus then. So he would go to number 2. And then whatever you don't get done for the day, you move to the next day and you start on number 1. You continue to repeat this. So as he did that, Charles Schwab started to implement this through his management, through his teams, and they all started, doing this process. And Ivy Lee came back to see him, and he wrote him a check for $25,000, which is about $250,000 in today's money for 15 minutes of advice. And so I read this story, and I'm like, wow, why is anybody talking about this? Napoleon Hill is Think and Grow Rich. This is like a really great story, but nobody had really made it bigger. Earl Nightingale talked about it. Napoleon Hill was talking about it, but it wasn't out there in the world. And so I started to apply this a long time ago, and it really is what helped me rise up in the corporate world to reach to where I was running the company. But I also was able to take that sliver of an idea and turn it into an entire process over 20 years. So the idea came from Ivy Lee and Charles Schwab. Then I was able to take it and turn it into a life program that includes goals, mission, and values now, and really build a whole program around that Sacred 6. But it's founded in some awesome ideas from the 1910s that they were dealing with focus issues, and they didn't have 3 computers like I do on my desk right now. Well, 2 computers and an iPad and an iPhone, right? They didn't have any of that. So if it worked then, imagine how good it can work now, and really brought to modern terms. That's what the Sacred 6 is.
It's interesting to me that you say that this was all done in the 1910s when we didn't have all those, you say, like computers, electronics, things that are supposed to help us be more productive and more focused. That really it's one of those ongoing problems that we all face. It's kind of been around since the beginning of time, and just finding those tools that really work for you. And I know a lot of us get caught up in the whole multitasking and wanting to do that. So I love that you brought out, pick your 6 must-to-dos and just work on just one until you get it done, and then carry on, instead of trying to, pick at them a little bit at a time and jumping back and forth, because really, I don't think that really helps us move forward either. It just creates more chaos and lack of focus again.
100%. And this process that I've used, I was getting done at 9:30 every day. I mean, I'm able to do my work by 9:30. I switch my workflow now a little bit more to working Mondays because I got back into coaching this year. I wasn't coaching for years, but literally this process allows me to get done at 9:30 in the morning and then do whatever I want. I mean, how awesome is that? You get up and you get up at 6:37, go to the gym, come back, get all your work done because you're able to get focused. And then you have the rest of the day to spend time with your family or play music or whatever you want to do. And really, you can do that if you're able to understand the concepts of productivity and manage your energy and peace, and then building residual and passive income streams, which now is the greatest time in the world to ever do that. But you've got to understand the clarity of how you put that together, and then be patient enough to allow it to work for you.
I think that's great advice. I know we hear lots about people saying that, they're done work by 9:30, 10. And when I first started kind of learning about all this stuff, I was like, oh man, that would be a dream come true, to have the rest of your day and to be able to really plan and work on other things that you want to achieve. And some people I know it would seem like such a great distance for them to actually get to be able to do that. But really, it just comes down to practice and just keeping that focus. And just the more you do it, the more that you're going to get better at it. And you're going to be able to nail out your day in a few hours in the morning, and then be able to focus on whatever else you wanted to do. So you talk about values in your Sacred 6. Can you tell us how making sure that they're in line with your goals, and then how you can really get them in tune to what's most important to you? How
Well,
can we do
I
that?
think the thing that, when I work specifically with companies and other people, the big issue that they have is that, you go in and they got all these values that, we're going to help people, we're going to make a difference out there. But then you look at their goals, they're all about money, right? We got to make more money. We got to make more money. We got to make more money. Is where is the real value, right? And so same thing with us. A lot of times, I've heard this before that, show me your calendar and show me your bank account and I will know what's important to you, right? And a lot of people don't want to discuss that, but that's the truth. Where you spend your money and when you spend your time is what's important to you. So you can say a lot of different things. You can say that I'm spiritual. You can say that I give. You can say that I'm, for this cause. And as you know, there's a lot of stuff going on out there. But if I look at your time and I look at where you spend your money, I'm going to know what your real values are. So, one of the big things in what I teach and with the Sacred Six is honesty. You've got to be honest with yourself, because if you're not honest with yourself, you don't really believe. And when you don't really believe, you're not going to manifest. You see, thoughts are things, actions make them, or thoughts are things, beliefs make them so, and actions solidify the belief. So if you're not doing the right things and taking the right actions, you're not in tune with your values. So when I look at somebody, the first thing I look at when I coach them is, let me see your goals. What are you going after? And then what's really important to you? And if there's misalignment there, it's not going to work. And if you're trying to get clear about what's really important to you, I just go look at the bank account and I can see what's really important to most people. And also on their calendar, I'll be able to see where their time is being spent and their money.
That's so true. We need to really look at what is important to us. And I think sometimes we get caught up in the ideas of what we think other people want us to do, or what we think the right thing is to do, but it's really not what sits with us, what really resonates with us. So then we continue to struggle doing what we think other people want us to do and not really living out our true goals and our true dreams. And so often I think there's a lot of time just wasted going through that instead of really focusing on what it is we want to do for us and what's important for us. And I think people just have a hard time really stepping into that.
Yeah, agreed. Totally. 100%. Yep.
So we know that when we're making goals and really working towards our dreams, and even if we follow all the best laid out plans and hire the best coaches and follow your Sacred Six system, things don't always go the way that we think that they're going to go. So how can we kind of, maybe even almost prepare for that? And what can we use to really, project ourselves past the maybe perceived failure or what's not working right?
Well, a lot of it has to do with attitude and the way you live your life. So the big thing that's out there right now is Stoicism, becoming more stoic, which comes from the Roman philosopher Seneca. So like Tim Ferriss is really big into this and teaching this, which means we just avoid being emotional with anything. We just don't allow emotion to bother us. The only issue I have with that kind of lifestyle is you kind of become apathetic. You're like, it doesn't matter. It is what it is, right? And I live a little bit of that the way I live my life, but the way that I live my life more that I believe that I prefer is spiritualism, which means that there is something bigger happening and there's a purpose for everything and that we're here to experience. And so when things don't go according to plan, it's just part of the plan. I mean, I wrote a book called Get Out of Neutral. It's back here. There's very few copies left, and spent $40,000 on it and lost my house and my job and everything when I started my business. If that book would have been a bestseller, I wouldn't have created Morning Coach and wrote for Hay House, Sacred Six, or anything. So at that time in my life, that was a disaster. I wouldn't want anybody to go through what I went through. Nobody would buy my book. Nobody would visit my websites. I was, I felt like an idiot. I'd come home and see those books and I hated that book. And the truth is that if that would have turned out the way I wanted it to, I would be nowhere near to the success level that I have today. And it was a blessing for me. So when we're caught up in the moment, there's two angles. You can kind of be stoic about it and not get emotional and just say whatever and move on. Or you can just say, hey, there's a greater good here conspiring for me. And it's what's going to help me is what I'm going through. So I'm going to accept it and I'm going to learn from it and I'm going to move forward. So that's the other option.
I like that, really looking at it as a blessing, because so often so much good comes out of your failures. And I know I've heard lots of times too, your greatest failures can lead to your greatest successes as well, because it puts you on a totally different track to what you're really meant to be doing and something that really fills you up. And I think that's a great example that our listeners really need to look at maybe what's not worked in their life and really focus on all the good that has come out of it, because I think you can find something good in almost any situation if you really look at it that way.
Yeah, it's all a matter of perspective, and that perception and that perspective is what is going to shape your life. There's a cliche, perception is reality, but it is the truth. I mean, even you look at our current situation out there, there's a certain amount of people that hate Donald Trump and think he's an idiot and can't stand him. And then there's a certain amount of people that love him and think he's the best president ever. And that's just a perception. It's crazy if you really think about it, right? So each one is shaping their own world. And so what we've got to do is be able to step out of those perceptions and be able to make sure we're looking at the things that are going to serve us and not serve other people. And so, you look at the political climate, and it's amazing how some people hate their life and hate the world, and other people love it. And it's just all a matter of the way that you are going to approach your life and the way you perceive it.
That's so true. And you brought up before a little bit about, controlling our emotions and how we're thinking of the situation. Do you have any daily practices or any strategies that you could share with our audience on if they're just starting to learn how to do this? Because it can seem a little overwhelming. There's so much advice out there. What are some simple things that they can start with in the morning to really set the tone?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing is obviously get something positive in the morning. I do the podcast every single day, and I'm not saying me, go find some positive stuff every morning. It's why I do it, because the way you start your day is kind of the way you set up your day, and you need to get a different thought process, right? So if you start thinking a little bit differently in the day, you're going to be great. And the other thing is to start to control the noise in the volume of the amount of noise in your mind. And that comes through meditation. And the Dalai Lama taught us years ago that he says if we would teach meditation to 8-year-old children, that we would end violence within 1 century. So if we can just get our minds to settle down, and then we can clear through the emotional clutter that's out there, we can start to break free from that and start to create our life instead of getting involved in all this minutia, which is involved with other people's lives. And if you look at social and what's on TV, it's scary because it's just people are so good at capturing attention. So you got to start your day with something different. Turn off the news, listen to something positive, get your mind in the right framework. And then as you go through your day, take a few minutes here and there to just slow it down, clear your mind, meditate a little bit, and understand what direction you're going, and watch yourself getting caught up in the psychology of time or the minutia of everything that's happening around you, because you'll get caught up in it. I do, and I teach it. So just be very cautious of that.
Great insight there as well. What is the best advice that you can give to people? Just, maybe they're stuck, or they have an idea or a goal or a dream that they want to achieve, but they're not quite taking the action to do that. What's the best advice that you can give them to start on their journey to really live their best life yet?
Yeah, if you're not doing it, then you need to read Stephen Pressfield's book, The War of Art. I mean, that's bottom line. I mean, you're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. And if you're not doing it, then go do something else, And if you're struggling with that resistance, I would run to read that book, right? But I just, it gets to the point where you got to take action. You got to take action. And you're going to get beat up. You've got to be a beginner. You got to realize you're going to be a beginner. I mean, I can't tell you how many people told me, what do you think? You're going to be the next Tony Robbins? I mean, so many people, just don't believe in you. When you start after you dream, people are going to ridicule you. They're going to make fun of you. That's all part of the process. And then they're going to start to fear you. They're going to say, oh my gosh, maybe he's going to do it. And all of a sudden they're not kind to you because they're scared, because they're like, well, what if he does do it? And then, or what if she does do it? And then once you do it, they want to be like you. It's a crazy cycle, but that's the way it is. And if you can't get through those first 2 sections, and if you're worried about what other people think, and you're worried that, you can't handle the rejection, then you got to find something else to do. And it is just, maybe the dream is not big enough, because if the dream is big enough, the facts don't count. And so if you're not taking action, you need a bigger why, and you need to understand what resistance is. And that's why I think, Stephen did a great job describing that in The War of Art.
That's an amazing book. I know it's definitely one of my favorites. And I love how you were just totally honest with us, saying that, there's going to be lots of challenges. These things are going to come up, because I think so often people get the great idea in their head and they want to go after it. And then they hit those first few roadblocks or bumps or negative feedback, and they just give up because they're not really prepared. So I think that's great that you're just totally honest with, you are going to run into this stuff.
a lot of this stuff drives me nuts. A lot of the internet marketing stuff drives me nuts because people see people like me and, oh, it's so easy. He's got 150,000 people on Facebook now we're up to 23 million downloads on the podcast. Oh, that's easy. No, it was hard, and it's still hard. It's still harder than hell. We have things that technology doesn't work. We get nasty emails. I mean, yeah, we've scaled up. Now I'm making money. It was easier when I started, but it's still hard. And so I think there's just a lot of stuff out there where, people are selling things based on theory and not on practical ideas. And I have an issue with that. And I think because when people start doing it, they end up quitting because they don't realize that it's challenging. And they get 5 people reading their blog or listening to their podcast. And instead of getting excited, they get frustrated. Only 5 people. Why? I need more people. Well, it took me 5 years before I made a penny. And I think we underestimate what we can do in time, but we overestimate what we can do in a very short amount of time. And that's why most people quit, is because they overestimate their dream at the beginning. They think, oh, this is going to happen soon. And then they underestimate what they can do over time. So I'm a 10-year overnight success, but I'm always going to preach the truth because I hate to see people give up. I hate to see people buy a course or take do something where they learn some information and then they just give up because it doesn't happen immediately. Well, that's kind of the old Amway model, right? Let's promise the world over here. It's just not real. The truth is that if you're going to do something, you're going to go after a dream, there's going to be a process. There's 1 out of 50 million people is going to win that Powerball for $500 million. But what about the other 150 million people, right? So you've got to find something that works for you and take it step by step and keep building every single day with a vision. And if it's just a monetary vision or just a monetary focus, that's wrong, because you've got to find something you're going to do that you're going to be driven to do. And that's what's so important. And I think that's where a lot of breakdowns occur, is because people do things for money. And it's what I did for most of my career. And the freedom came when I stopped doing things for money and I started doing things for the reasons I wanted to, which was to help people and put energy out there.
I think that's an amazing insight. And I really appreciate your honesty, because I know and have experienced that too, where you get promised all these great things in your courses. And then when you get out there in the real world trying to achieve it, it can be so deflating and really make you want to just take a step back and not work on it. But I truly believe too, that if you are in line with your values and your goals and what's really important to you, and you know that you have a mission that you want to go out there and really fulfill, that those successes or those setbacks, they won't matter, and you'll be able to carry on bit by bit and really achieve that success that you're looking for sure.
Yeah, there is no secret technique. If there was a secret technique, everybody would be doing it, right? If I hear funnel one more time, I'm going to throw up, because it's like, I don't know anybody that wants to be in a funnel. I don't know one person that says, hey, put me in a funnel and upsell me and take me to the next thing and next thing. No, serve people, help people, get excited about it, build real relationships. That's how this works. And, are you going to be annoyed sometimes or things not going to? Of course. But the whole idea is to get your passion, your dream, and do it for the right reasons, and everything else will work. It's not about techniques or websites or any of this other stuff. It's about real people. And when you get that, that's when it'll all start to come together.
I think you just said something key there. You said really take the time to build those relationships, because I think that, taking the time to build those relationships, that's really important. That's what people want. They want to know that they can trust you and believe in you, and that you're looking out for their best interest as well, that you really care about what it is that they want, and that you really do want to help them and to serve them.
Well, and my term for that is to be a trusted advisor. It's real simple. Just become a trusted advisor. If you can't handle somebody's problems, either tell them no, or find somebody else that can. And if you can, charge them and work with them. It's just that simple. And it's not a hard way to live your life if you just have honesty and integrity. Where it gets challenging is when you start to try techniques and all these different things. Let's just go take your knowledge, chase your dream, get excited about it, build products and services for others. Go out there. There's a million things you can do, but just find the purpose that you want to do. And hey, listen, if you don't want to be an entrepreneur, that's cool too. Go work for somebody and bring your skills and talents to them. There's nothing wrong with that. And build your value in the organization and make more money and contribute. But again, being a trusted advisor, gaining skills, going in there and doing the best you can. That's how you create more value in your life. And that's what will create more value in your world and make your life better.
That, again, great insight. And I love that term, being a trusted advisor. It pretty much sums it all up. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us today?
No, I just want people to believe. I know that we live in a world of, it's a little darker out today than it was yesterday. People are a little bit frustrated. I do know that it's a great time to be alive. We have tremendous opportunity in front of us, but you got to believe, and you just got to avoid the hype and just do the work, and put in the time, and whatever the outcome is the outcome, and just learn from that and continue to grow. I just get so tired of people giving up too soon, and we need greatness. I mean, I do it from a selfish standpoint, whether you create a new paperclip or thing to wash my glasses or you cure cancer. We need people out there being the best that they possibly can be, and taking courses like this, following Nicole, following other people that are trying to put good energy out there. That's what this is all about, right? We're all in this together, and there's enough people out there that don't get it. And if you've come this far with us watching us, just keep believing and just keep working it day by day, and it'll happen for you.
That's great. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to be with us. I know that your schedule is full, so I'm really grateful that you were able to do this with us today and be a part of the summit. I want all of our viewers to check out JB's website at morningcoach.com and glossinger.com. Just look in the email that you guys got sent for your video today. It's going to have all the links to JP's amazing resources. And again, JP, just really appreciate you taking the time to be here with us today, and look forward to much more amazing work that I know that you're going to put out there for us.
Well, and Nicole, real quick, just and for everybody that's watching, I mean, Nicole is one of the reasons I don't do many of these anymore, but Nicole approached this in a very professional manner, did it the right way. She's doing the right thing. So make sure you stick with Nicole and everything she's doing, because she's doing it the right way. And I think that's really important. You've got a great leader there, and just, engage and get involved and, give back. And that's how you will grow, and you'll help others that way. So thank you, Nicole.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.